Today we're going to work on our hips and low back. I'm going to take you through a practice designed to release tight hips, stiff low back, and this will help relieve aches and pains in your low backs and in your hips. I'm Noko. If this is your first time joining my channel, subscribe by clicking the bottom right corner of the screen so that you receive more videos like this one. And select the little bell so that you get notified every time I publish a new video. I will be using a block and a towel. You can have a folded towel or a pillow. And if you don't have any equipment, you will be just fine. So let's take a moment to just sit with our legs crossed. And I invite you to close your eyes and do a quick check of how your low back and hips are feeling right now. You may notice tension or stiffness or aches. Notice your posture. Do you feel like leaning back, rounding your shoulders? Do you have a hard time sitting up? So just keep those sensations into the back of your mind. Can open the eyes. So remember how you feel right now, and we're gonna go through the practice and then we'll reassess how we feel. Let's start on our back. Let's place our hands on our knees. And we're gonna make circles around the tailbone. And again, I invite you to pay attention to notice the sensations in your low back. And this is like a massage for the low back. So feel how when you pull the knees up to your chest, it stretches the center of your low back, or right side of your low back, around the tailbone, left side of the low back, center of the low back, right side of the low back, tailbone, left side. So just notice the different areas, and you may notice that maybe one side is more sensitive or tight than the other side. Reverse. So I like to do this almost before each practice. It helps determine how stiff my low back is. I used to have very bad low back pain, so I'm always very careful with the low back. Center. Let's move on to the hips. So we're gonna open the knees wide. And we're gonna make two separate circles with the knees. Make the circles as big as you can. So this stretches up the hip socket. Okay, as we move the joint, the bones inside the hip socket, it helps release fluid, and the fluid that's released is called the synovial fluid. It brings nutrients to the hip socket. It keeps our hips, our joint lubricated so they move better. You may also notice in this area how you're stretching the groin area. Reverse. Center. Place the feet on the floor, rolling to one side. I'm going to show you a way to get up. You should always get up this way when you're laying down on your bed or on the floor to protect your low back. So we use the bottom elbow, top hand, pull the belly in, and come into a seated position. So this helps reduce stress on the low back. So we're going to place the left leg front, and if you round in your back, or if you feel like sitting back and resting on your hands, use your hands to try to tilt your pelvis, okay? If this is still uncomfortable, sit on a folded towel. The higher the towel, the higher the pillow, the more your hips are elevated, the easier it is to keep your spine erect in a neutral position. And if you have a block or another pillow, okay, you can place it in front of you. For some of us, sitting up right here is already a stretch. Okay, you can have your hands right here to help maintain a strong spine, and you may notice that you're already tight, maybe in your low back, maybe in your hips. So maybe let's place our hands on our hip flexors, and if you notice that you're keeping them tight, see if you can release them. If you're comfortable here, you can bring your forearms on the block, maybe go a bit deeper, or just hands on the floor. I invite you to close your eyes again, finding your breath. Just exhale all the air out. Inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the nose. Inhale, exhale. Notice, keep going with this breath, and notice how with each exhale, your hips surrender to the position. So that's a great exercise to open up the hips, to lengthen and stretch the lower back muscles. And if you notice that your tailbone is lifting off the floor, try to press it back down. Using our hands, let's bring ourselves up into a seated position. Let's place the left hand on the right knee, right hand behind the tailbone. We still have the shoulders facing front. Let's lengthen through the spine, inhaling. Exhaling, let's twist towards the right side, gazing towards the back of the room. With each inhale, we lengthen to the back, to the spine. With each exhale, we go a little bit deeper into the twist. And notice how you feel the stretch in your left lower back, in the left side of your lower back, maybe in the midsection of your back, maybe in your neck. Deepening through the breath. Back to center. Hand on the block if you have a block, otherwise on the floor. Inhaling, lengthening through the back, through the spine. Exhaling, sliding sideways. So I'm saying sliding, you want to think, imagine you sliding your shoulders against a wall instead of turning your shoulders sideways. Okay, slide. So we have already stretched the spine in all the directions. Well, not all, but we have leaned forward. Now we're leaning sideways, so we're stretching the side body. So it's a lateral stretch for the spine. And we twist it. So feel the stretch also in the left side of your lower back. Back to center. Reaching the left leg out. Your foot, if it's underneath your leg, move it out. I'm going to show you sideways. You can be on your blanket. You can be sitting on the floor. Your hands can be behind your back to keep your shoulders stacked over your hips. If necessary, you can have a micro bend in your knee. Or your hands can be in front of you if you can maintain the length in your low back. Let's inhale through the nose. Exhaling, pushing the chest forward. Lengthening through the low back. Grabbing your leg and pulling forward. Now as you hold into the position, relax your quadriceps muscle. Relax your low back muscle. Inhaling, lengthening through the chest, through the neck. Exhaling, pulling slightly deeper. Allowing your low back to release. Allowing your hamstring to release. Your hamstring are the muscles underneath the thigh. If your hamstring are really, really tight, this alone can be the source of your low back stiffness, tightness, aches and pains. Finding your breath. Slowly coming up, bending the knee, and opening the knee. From here, placing the hands back, we want to stretch the quads and the hip flexors right here. So we're going to walk the hands back. You can hold it right here. You can go on your forearms and really feel the front of the thigh lengthening. And slowly coming up. Switching sides. So we had the left leg front. Let's place the right leg front this time. Finding your option wherever you are, maybe right here, holding this position, you already feel stretching the hips. So let's try to massage the hip flexors to release them. And let's lean forward. We keep lengthening through the low back, through the upper back, through the neck. Inhaling. On your next exhale, release your hip flexors. And coming back up, lengthening through the spine. Right hand on the left knee, left fingertips behind the tailbone. Inhaling. Exhaling, twist. We're stretching the low back, the mid back, maybe the neck. Finding your breath again. And back to center. Let's do a lateral stretch for the back. Inhaling, lengthening to the spine. Exhaling, sliding sideways. So we create length in the spine and feel the stretch in the right side of your back. Back to center, head to knee, so we reach the right leg out. Left foot next to your knee or higher. Lengthening through the spine, inhaling. As we exhale, pushing the chest forward, grabbing the leg anywhere you want and pushing the chest forward. Closing your eyes, notice where you tensing your muscles. And you can massage this area. So if it's the thigh, kind of shake your thigh, hip flexor, place your thumb deep into the crease and massage it. So we're stretching the hamstring, the low back. Slowly rolling up. Let's massage the right hip flexor here. We're going to stretch it out. We're going to move slightly forward and sideways so you can see better. Bending the knee. And what you can also do, if your knee is pointing front here, move it a little bit sideways. And leaning back. Only go as far as you're comfortable. You should not feel any pain in your knee joint or any joint. You should feel a release right here. So maybe you're right here, you feel the stretch. That's how far you should go. Coming back up. And crossing the legs again, releasing your towel or your pillow. Closing your eyes. Notice if you feel a difference in your hips, in your low back, in your posture between the beginning of your practice and now. Let's bring the eyes open. Let's move on. Another stretch for the hips, but this time it's I'll stretch a different area. So it's the figure 4. Let's start by extending the right leg out. Flexing the left ankle. This will protect your left knee. Placing the ankle over the right thigh. You can lean back initially. And you start bending your knee. Some of you may go that far. You feel the stretch already in your hip flexor, in your thigh. Or you can go deeper. If you don't feel anything here, you can lift your hips and scoop forward. And notice how I'm rounding my back. So push your chest forward, lengthening through the spine. Now we're stretching the muscle, the glute muscles. If they are tight, this can also cause low back pain, and it makes it difficult to maintain a good posture. So if you don't have a good posture, you're always sitting with a poor posture, eventually you're going to have aches and pains in your back. Let's keep pushing the chest forward. And releasing. Windshield wipers. So we open the feet wider than the mat. And we just allow the knees to rock side to side. Allow your low back to twist so your hips is lifting off the floor. That helps with mobility in the hips. Also stretches the low back. Nice. Let's work on the other side. So figure 4, same thing here. Bending the knee, going only as far as you're comfortable. Option to scoop the hips forward. And definitely pushing the chest forward. So you should feel the stretch right here in your glute area. Releasing. Windshield wipers again. Alright, so now we're going to open up the upper back and the low back with the puppy stretch. Different options. So we start by dropping the belly, releasing the tailbone. So tailbone is reaching up towards the ceiling. Option 1, you just cross your elbows and place your forehead on your elbows. If you want to go deeper, you extend the arms. Now press the shoulders down. This way you're going to have the stretch also in the upper back, in the shoulders. And this really releases tightness in the low back. Also opens up the chest. It helps with posture. Couple more breaths here. Make sure you're releasing the muscles in the low back. Coming up on all fours, fingers spread out wide, cat and cow. So inhaling, same thing, we drop the belly, releasing the tailbone, pushing the chest forward, gazing straight up, that's the cow. On the exhale, we scoop the tailbone, round the low back, spread the shoulder blades apart, tuck the chin under, that's the cat. Notice where you feel the stretch, maybe in the neck, maybe in the upper back, or low back. Again, inhaling cow, exhaling cat. Inhaling cow, exhaling cat. A few more. And center. Preparing for a child pose. Big toes together. Let's open the knees as wide as the mat. Pressing the hips down. So I know for some of us, the hips don't want to go that far, that low. So just keep your hips wherever they want to be. And same thing, you cross your elbows, but this time we're not releasing the tailbone. Okay, we want to kind of tuck the tailbone under. Otherwise, we press the hips down, reach the arms forward. That's our child pose. And that's an excellent position to lengthen the muscles in the low back, to open up the hips, to open up the shoulders, to release tension and anxiety. Exhaling to the nose. Big breath in. A bit more air in. And let go the air out. Breathing in. And out. Breathing in and out. On your next exhale, crawling the arms sideways. Releasing tightness, tension in your right hip flexor if you move your arms to the right side. To the other side. Back to center. Coming in. Preparing for downward facing dog. Tuck the toes under. I'm going to show you different options. Bring the knees. Option 1, we keep the heels lifted, we press the chest back. This is an awesome exercise for the back because not only you stretch, but you also strengthen the back. Option 2, we can start extending the knees without bringing the shoulders forward. So we keep pushing the chest back. Option 3, optional, press the heels down only if you can maintain the length in the low back. Hold it there. Keep breathing slowly. Knees down. We're going to end in a very relaxing pose on our stomach. Arms crossed. So what we're going to do, we're going to pull the right knee up. And if you have it in your practice, open the right ankle up. If it's uncomfortable on your knee, okay, grab a pillow, place it under your hips. You can have your hips elevated. Head can be turned sideways or face down. And again, notice if you are holding any tension in your hips or low back. Let's bring the feet together and pulling the left knee up. Oops, too close. Option to flex your left ankle and to open up. And feet together, legs together. Hands underneath the shoulders. Opening the chest. Holding it here. Belly lifted. See if you can hold it without the hands. So I told you the other one was the last exercise, but I just thought of this one because we are strengthening the low back. Lift, hold. Keep gazing down towards your mat. Hands on the floor. And exhaling in the cat. Let's sit up. Legs crossed. So again, notice how you're feeling, you're sitting taller. You're gonna walk taller and your strides can be smoother because we have released tightness in this area in the hips, low back, so it improves the mobility as well. If you want more videos like this, let me know. Subscribe to my channel. Hands to Heart Center. Don't forget to check the links in the description below. Namaste.